Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll be having a look at the latest GFS, GEM, ECMWF, GFS ensembles, and then we'll have a look at the latest radar as it's looking like we may be seeing some rain over the next day or so. But first I wanted to start on Twitter, as I'm relaunching my Twitter account, my new Twitter account, and it's the best way really just to keep up to date with sort of nowcast situations, as I only really post once a day. So thunderstorms, as we head into the convective season, we're posting near-minute updates on that once we get round to that time. And also it builds better community and stuff, and you can engage a bit more with different charts and all that. So if you do use Twitter, make sure you give me a follow, and hopefully I'll be quite active over that over the coming weeks and months. But now let's get on to the video. So currently we're looking at the latest GFS run, and you can see we've got this little low pressure to North Scotland, and it's moving southwards, bringing quite heavy rain with it, and we'll have a look at that heavy rain at the end of the video. It does sweep southwards and sort of deepen as it does so, which means it's going to be quite a bit of rain around for some regions. Not huge amounts, but at least good enough to water the plants, the gardens, and at least to remove some drought conditions from some regions. We maintain sort of an easterly flow, which is going to be pretty cold. Still going to have convective showers coming in as we are close to this area of low pressure. You can see we're under this sort of greeny sky, which shows it's lower pressure, more showers, but quite cold as well. So overnight frosts are possible where showers and clouds do clear. But beyond that, again, we maintain that pattern with blocking before the Atlantic does take hold. And we were looking yesterday at the video, and the GFS, I think it was not allowing these low pressures to break through, but they are on this current GFS run, and we're going very windy and stormy. That potentially could be a named storm as a channel low, if we look at the 850 HPA temperatures. Again, if this were in winter, this would be quite a snow event, as we've got a southerly tracking jet stream, warm air to the south, colder air to the north. With this scenario, is most likely to be all rain and quite windy as well with that, and good quite a bit of soaking to some regions. Beyond that, again, we maintain sort of low pressure dominance, but you see high pressure does try to build out in Europe, which does mean the flow starts to come more of a southerly direction and less of a north or sort of westerly or northeasterly direction, which is a little bit cooler. But now warmer air starts to try and build up from the south, and although yes, it will be windy, there'll be rain around, it'll be cloudy at times, we're at much warmer air, so it'll be cut out of overnight frosts, and most likely temperatures will be 15 or so degrees quite widely in the day. If we now have a look at the GM, see how that compares, again, very similar setup over the next couple of days. And then as we head into the weekend, you see low pressure does start to develop out in the Atlantic, and it's a bit further northwards, but it's still quite deep. We'll have quite a lot of rain with it, and then behind that, got more areas of low pressure. Again, jet stream a bit more southerly tracked, which means these lows are a bit further southwards, but that will also mean we'll start to bring up some warmer air in front of them, and you can see but by Thursday next week, we actually have some quite warm air building up in from the south. Again, with the rain and cloud, temperatures will be inevitably suppressed, but it will still be around 15-16 degrees in the day, perhaps 5-6 degrees at night. If we now have a look at how the ECMWF compares, you can see again, very similar pattern, and you see that Atlantic system breaks through, not quite as deep as the other models, but still deep enough to give some rain and wind. But you can see to the north there, we've still got some quite cold air, so there could even be some snow on the north and the leading edge of that system. Again, too far out really to call that, but it'll be interesting to see what was the position of this area of low pressure. Beyond that, again, we maintain westerlies. Blocking over Greenland does start to drop off a little bit. So, apart from the first few days of May, where it's quite dry still under high pressure to above Greenland, meaning we've got a northeasterly flow with a few showers around. As we head into further into May, we do have low pressure, westerlies break in, and it does go a bit more wet and windy, but it inevitably will be milder with the air coming from the south or southwest. If we now have a look at the GFS ensembles, you can see that pattern is pretty well reflected within the ensembles. Quite mild at the moment, and then we get that drop off over the next few days, getting down to maybe -4, -5, 850 HPA, which is pretty cold. We could see some overnight frost with that, and will be some showers around. In the longer term, temperatures do start to recover, but don't really recover properly until sort of 7th, 8th, 9th of May, where they start to get around average again. There are some ensemble members going much milder, some going much cooler, and again, it will be dependent on how quickly we break down that green and blocking. Sometimes the models do overdo how much we break it down, so I perhaps would more side with the cooler ensembles on this, with that low pressure being stalled a little bit longer. But it does look like there's definitely more precipitation around, so even though the upper airs aren't quite as warm as you'd hope this time of year, it's still going to be at least deliver some precipitation, and inevitably when you've got precipitation and cloud, temperatures will not be dropping too low, especially overnight. I do not expect to see any overnight frosts beyond sort of the end of this week or so. As soon as that low starts coming in off the Atlantic early next week, I wouldn't expect to see any more frosts beyond that. If we have a look at the dew points again, very similar. Quite cool dew points at the moment before they do start to rise again, well above freezing. From around sort of 2nd or 3rd of May, and then they remain well above average, cutting out any chance of any frosts. If we have a look at the 2-meter temperatures, you can see generally over the next few days, cool, but nothing too cold, around 12, 13, 14 degrees perhaps. Tomorrow might be quite warm, 15, 16 degrees and some sunshine in London. Beyond that, temperatures do gradually start to rise around 15, 16 degrees average towards the end of this run. But again, it really will depend on how much sunshine or rain you do see, as 15 degrees with rain does feel quite cold, 15 degrees with sun can feel quite warm indeed. Overnight, you'll see none of the ensemble members in the longer term are getting anywhere near sort of freezing, let alone below 5 degrees. So it's definitely looking like a frost will be started to be eradicated. You can see with the precipitation signal, definitely an increase. No massive spikes, a few going up to maybe 10 or 15 millimeters, which means it's not going to be an Atlantic onslaught, but it's definitely going to be more low pressure dominated, meaning a higher chance of more widespread rain. And finally, if we have a look at the latest radar from the Weather Channel, you can see that low pressure over Scotland right now, centred towards the north and northeast of Scotland. And you can see it's heading southwards, and with some quite heavy pulses of rain in there, bringing quite a widespread soaking to some regions, or to many regions, sorry. It will be tracking southwards and sort of southeastwards, so hitting most eastern areas, and you can see there's a bit of snow mixed in it, but nothing too significant. If we do look at the future, if we get the Weather Channel to run through, sometimes it does run a little bit slowly, unfortunately. There we go. You can see it is moving south and southeastwards quite slowly, but by around midnight tonight it should be starting to reach parts of northern England with sort of its occluded front, and it should be heading southwards. So by tomorrow morning I'd expect it to be sort of across the Midlands, and if we run back through what's done so far, you can see heavy pulses of rain spiraling around this low pressure. Not moving too quickly, but it will be slowly spreading its way southwards to give some rain to many areas that do need it. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.